Namaste and welcome to class, and welcome to you, and thank you for joining.
Thank you.
Today's class is going to be on psoas, our primary hip flexor muscle. We use our psoas in every single step we take throughout our lives. But the paradox about our psoas is that we hardly can feel when we use it or when we stretch it. So the class today is going to bring some awareness to our use of our psoas. At some point, it might feel a bit abstract because it's not as a muscle you can touch and feel. It's a deep-rooted muscle that sits inside at the sides of our spine and runs down across the front of our pelvic bones, across the hips, and it attaches on the inside of our thighs. We'll be working with exercises that hopefully, most definitely, will get to teach you a bit about how we can move it, when we are moving it, when we are engaging it, and so on. So before we start, let's just figure out in what pose we are contracting, engaging it, and in what kind of pose, body position, we are lengthening or stretching it. So if we are standing facing the top of the mat, I'd like you just to start to swing your leg back and forth. So just swing your legs back, your leg here forward and backward. So we are flexing our leg, extending our leg. We are flexing our leg and extending our leg. Psoas is our primary hip flexor. So when we are flexing our leg, holding your leg up, we are using the psoas to lift our leg. For many of us, we believe, or it feels like that we are using the quadriceps, which is also true, but we are in fact using the psoas as the primary hip flexor to lift the leg. Now we are engaging it, we are stretching it. Now extend your leg, and because it's the opposite direction, we could just conclude, or we know that when stretching the leg back, we are now lengthening or stretching the psoas. You can allow your leg to hang a bit. When stretching the psoas, we will pull the ends of the muscle. And when we are pulling the end, it will affect our lower back if we are unaware of this muscle, because lengthening it is going to make it pull your spine forward, and therefore it might bring a collapse to your lower back. Now, with an understanding of this stretching of the psoas, we can hold the muscles so that we do not allow it to pull, example here, the lower back. So one thing is to learn when to use it, but also to understand when stretching it, and when we know that we are stretching it, we need to give a certain control across around it so that we avoid allowing it to pull unconsciously in other bodily parts. Great. So let's just find the top of our mat, and I will ask us to move from our psoas. And in this particular tiny sequence that we will move between Tadasana, Urdhva Hastasana, and Uttanasana, I would like you to focus on staying in contact with your psoas rather than just allowing the gravity to forward fold while forward folding. So let's deepen our breath, connect to our dynamic breath to be ready for some movement. And then let's lift our arms out and up on our next inhalation. And then when you forward fold, most often we are simply shifting our weight and allowing gravity to make us dive into our forward fold. So I would now ask you to, when you forward fold, to see if you can engage this deep-rooted muscle that sits on the side of the spine and runs to the front of the hip, that flexes our hip into a forward fold. So connect to your psoas and forward fold for Uttanasana. You see, you can see that she's using it when using it. Now extend your spine for a long spine here. And once again, using the psoas to forward fold. Beautiful. So there is an extra dimension to your movement system when connected to the psoas. Now inhale, lift your body and your arms toward the ceiling, Urdhva Hastasana, and exhale, arms by the sides of your body. Now it might not be fully concrete that we are getting in touch with the psoas, but to work with this kind of exercise will slowly make you more aware that we have this muscle that can be used for forward folds in this case. Beautiful. Let's try that one once again. Inhale, lift your arms out and up. And then as you exhale, consciously use your psoas all the way down. You're connecting, you're binding, you're building. Inhale, extend your spine. And then exhale, forward fold. Inhale, sit back for an Utkatasana. Now hold the forward fold that you have at the level of your hip with your psoas. If we did not focus on the psoas, we would sit quite strongly from our thighs and keep the upper body lifted with the spine, with the shoulders. But now see if you can let go a bit of the thighs, a bit of the shoulder and the upper body, and see if you can catch this forward fold, the bend, forward bend of your hip from a deeper rooted muscle, psoas. Beautiful. You can feel that. Let's do the opposite. Now we are engaging it. We are using it. Now we will stretch it. So stretch your legs, lift your arms behind your back for a deep standing back bend. Now we are doing the opposite. We are stretching it. We are elongating the psoas that runs from the lower, more or less the lower 5 vertebrae down and sits on the inside of our thighs. We are now lengthening, we are stretching the psoas. If we are not aware of this stretch, it's going to pull a collapse into the lower back. So when in a deep back bend, connect to it and avoid that it's unconsciously pulling in your lower back. Beautiful. Come back for neutral Tadasana. Great. So that was the first little exercise that I wanted to introduce to you, so we start to get in touch, or at least understand what we're using this psoas for. The psoas is a muscle that we need to lift an awareness around, because we don't want it to be too weak. We don't want it to be weak, because if it's weak, it will not help us to carry the organs in its optimal possibility. It's also not fully working, and therefore it can start to almost cramp together when we are tired around it, and it can bring a lot of lower back pain to our lives. Great. Let's move on from here. Let's just do that same few exercises once again with full focus on the psoas. Now we are lengthening our psoas as we lift our arms out and up. Please lift your arms out and up and feel how you lengthen the area. And then exhale, forward fold with the use of your psoas, not just bending with the shift of the balance and gravity, but creating a strength, being connected with your inner being. As you move, inhale, engage your back muscles to lengthen the area of the psoas, and once again connected with the psoas, forward fold. Now inhale and sit back in Utkatasana from this level of your psoas. You're holding the pose, not only from your thighs and your back and your shoulders. Let go of that. Now feel that you can carry that. Beautiful. Let's stretch your legs for a deep back bend. Now you will move into a stretch or elongation of the psoas. Bind yourself, find it, so that it's not pulling unconsciously at the sides of the front of the spine, collapsing the spine. So we are still in control because we now know it. Without knowing it, we would simply collapse a bit more, involving a pull of the lower back. This pull of the lower back would conflict with the balance that the organs right in front would have. Exhale, come forward for Tadasana. Beautiful. Let's move on. Inhale, lift your arms out and up. And then exhale for full forward fold with the use from your psoas. Extend the psoas on an inhalation, elongate through your spine, connect to the psoas and bind and forward, fold with the support from your psoas. Beautiful. Now let's step our right foot way back for full warrior one, lifting your upper body, your arms toward the sky. Beautiful. Now you can let go of your arms because we're not focusing fully on your arms here, but more of the positioning of your legs. In this pose, we are having the front part of our body, the left side of our body is an engaged psoas. We have a bend of our hip, a forward bend of our head. Since it's our primary hip flexor, this is what can hold the pose here. Once again, we often forget to be aware of it, so the body weight is just distributed through a lazy hip area and right into the knee. Now, if you bring some more attention by knowing of its existence to your psoas, you can keep that deepening of your front hip closely connected to the engagement, to the power of the psoas, so that you're not collapsing the body weight through your hip to the knee, and therefore you can control the depth of your front leg strongly. On the other side, the back side, or your right side in this case, we are lengthening, we are stretching the back psoas, the right side psoas. In this case I call it the back psoas because we are moving our foot back. It's lengthening as it's attached on the inside of the thigh, runs across the front of the pubic bones and attaches on the lower 5 vertebrae. So we have an elongated on the one side and engaged on the front. The back, or the right side, we have the psoas connected to the lower vertebrae of the spine. If we are not aware of this, it can pull a collapse into the lower back. So it's quite essential that you have an awareness. You say, my right side psoas is now pulling my lower back. So if I'm not aware of this, if I do not control that stretch, it's gonna pull a collapse into my lower back. So now that you know it's there, you can prevent it from unconsciously pulling in different connections of your bones, in this case, the lower back. Now you're working the front and you are in control of the back stretch of your psoas. Beautiful. Now let's just lift our arms and then open up for a warrior 2. Great. Let's reach the armpit back in the room and lower this hand to place it around the knee. And we are now moving in for a reverse warrior. You can now deepen the front thigh by finding a connection, contact with this psoas. You're now engaging it to lift yourself forward, to bring some weight of your body to the front foot. Not from your foot or knee, but simply by engaging your psoas. You're connecting, and at the same time, because we're in reverse, we are stretching the right side psoas way more, but by holding the left side, we are now counterworking both sides. So we are not fully stretching and allowing the stretch of the right to pull the lower back into a collapse, but you have control because of the left side and because of an awareness of the right, that you can now avoid it to pull wrongly across both your sides of your body. Inhale, come back for a warrior 2 and swing your arms to the mat. Step back for down dog. That was quite a long time to hold these poses. Thank you for your strength and your patience. Then let's move through and in between vinyasa here. Come forward for a high plank and then lower your knees, your chest and your chin. Inhale, come forward for a cobra on an inhalation, and then exhale for downward facing dog. Let's take our opposite leg forward. Now lift your body and your arms. Find the psoas on your front leg, your right side. Know that it's your primary hip flexor, so you're not standing only with the support from your quads, your upper back, your shoulders. You are using your psoas whether you know it or not, but when you know it, you can engage it even more strong, create a greater body awareness around it so you can get to touch it, get to know of its existence and therefore control it. Back leg, left leg in this case here, you're elongating, you're stretching the psoas. If you are aware of that, you are controlling it, so you're not allowing it to pull a disbalance into the area of your lower abdominals, across your hip, your sexual organs, and everything in this area. Beautiful, opening up for a warrior 2. And then on an inhalation, lifting yourself way back for reverse warrior, grounding through the use of your front psoas, connecting, lengthening left side with the control, so we are not pulling wrongly, so we're not conflicting with the inner space around our lower back, being fully aware, feeling the beautiful lengthening, the beautiful stretching of this psoas, meeting the power, the support of your opposite leg. Beautiful. Inhale, come back for warrior 2, and exhale once again for down dog. Let's just take a short little pause. So lower your knees to the mat, sit back in Balasana and rest your forehead on the mat. Just take a few deep breaths. You can breathe all the way through your lungs, through your diaphragm, down and getting in contact with the help from the breath with the area where the psoas rests. Once again, the psoas runs from the inner thighs up in front of the pubic bones on the inside of the hip and attaches on the lower 5 vertebrae. It attaches a little bit higher and also attaches on all of the intervertebral discs in between the bodies of the vertebra. Beautiful. Let's connect to our breath once again. And then exhale, finding a way through for your down dog. Now, if you lower your legs once again, knees to the floor. Now, one thing is that you straighten your legs to find your down dog, but let's see if you can stretch your legs, and the forward fold of your hip will be engaged with the control of the psoas. So slowly stretch your legs back and find the hip flexors, the psoas, to find the depth of this. It's not only going to bring a body awareness to the area, it's going to make you getting in contact with the psoas, so it's creating extra strength, support, and carries your inner body in a way more optimal way compared to if you're not around the support of the psoas. We're not understanding how it can be used to stabilize the inner body. Beautiful. Now, let's make another few asanas here by lifting your legs back and up for down dog split. Now, in down dog split, see if you can bend your heel to your sit bone and lift your knee high, pointing with your knee to the ceiling. Now that's going to create a back bend, and we are now lengthening our psoas, keeping contact with psoas so we will stay integrated when finding our wild thing. Dropping the leg just to the outside of the mat and lifting your arm back and up. In the room now, we are keeping the stretching of the psoas. Because we're in a back bend, we want to come high and have a beautiful back bend, but super integrated because of the connectedness that we have with the psoas. One little big test that we can see to try is, how do we get out of our wild thing back into down dog split? Don't just come out into down dog, but come back into down dog split. One way we could do it not connected would be to bend the leg across, lower the arm, and stretch your leg back and up. Now, another way is to be connected, fully integrated with the psoas. It might look easy, but it's not. So from here, find the high level, stretch your leg, keep connected, and then turn across and over. Keeping this leg high will be extremely demanding, but satisfying, because, hey, this is the moment that I understood that I'm in contact, that I'm using my psoas, and I can now stay around it because that one shows where I am. You can lower your leg and just shake your legs just a tiny bit to prepare for the other side. So we can use this exercise to lengthen, stretch the psoas, get in contact with it, and make a little bit of a test out of it. So let's lift the opposite leg high. Bend your heel to your sit bones and point your knee to the sky. Now step that foot across and land it right on the outside of the yoga mat, lifting your left arm, opening your body high. You need to come high to lengthen the area. Now stay high. Stretch your leg out and high. Now stay connected without dropping the leg, turning across and over, and down dog split is now met to perfection, and then lower your leg to the mat. Beautiful, well done, super strong, even for you, Camilla, such an open and an athlete body. We will still feel the toughness of this exercise, but it's fine. We need to have a strong psoas. We need to be in touch with it so that we can engage it consciously. Yes, let's move on from here. So let's just create a little bit of balance between both body sides, coming forward for a high plank and then lower for chaturanga. Beautiful. We are moving through for an up dog and an inhalation. Now let's not just stretch our arms, because when we do so, we will collapse in our lower back, but let's lengthen through the psoas here, knowing that it'll be connected from the inner legs through to the spine. We can control that it'll not pull forward and collapsing our spine. So now that I know it's lengthening, I'm not allowing it to collapse my spine. And in fact, it's going to give a more elongation of this spine. Beautiful. Holding that, and then exhale for down dog. Now let's move on and into a Sanchalasana. So on your next inhalation, step your left foot forward and lift your upper body and arms for high lunge. And then slowly lower your back knee to the mat, lower your arms to your front knee, and point your toes back. Beautiful. We're looking to meet our Sanchalasana, so gently, without no force, guide your knee forward, super controlled by deepening, engaging with the psoas on your left hip. When you feel you cannot reach any further here, keep the psoas active on your left side. Now feel your right psoas is elongated. Make sure that it's not pulling too much by getting in control over that one, because you know it's there. You can control it. It's not unconsciously pulling. Now maintain your left and then start to lift your arms above head, dive a bit into a back bend. Find again the power of your left, the control of your right psoas. Beautiful, a deep Sanchalasana, well integrated now to feel a deep stretch of the psoas. Take your left hand and grab your wrist and then pull in direction of me and a tiny bit back. In this pose, we are stretching the psoas as much as it possibly can in any pose given. You can really feel, maybe not just the abdominals, those you feel too, but below we sit. We have this psoas sitting, and that one is now being stretched fully. And I can see in your smile that it's hard work. It's great, beautiful. Stay in control of your left so you're not losing control across the hip area, across your lower abdominal. Inhale, come out of the pose, lower your arms to the mat for down dog. Once again, step your opposite leg forward, and let's do that on the other side of the body. For high lunge, lifting your arms, and then slowly lower your back knee, point your toes, your hands to your front knee, and gently guide yourself forward with the control of using your right psoas to deepen, to flex the hip. You're lengthening, you're stretching your left side hip here. Find control over the engaged psoas, over the elongated, the lengthened psoas, and when control over both sides, lift your arms and dive back into a back bend here, fully integrated because you have the power, you have the control. Beautiful. Now grab with the opposite hand and across from the open side of the body to stretch the psoas in this beautiful piece of movement here. Come back to neutral, exhale for down dog. Beautiful. Soften your knee, look ahead, walk or jump for cross-legged. Now sit back, now lean back, and lift both your legs forward and up. Now, in Navasana, if you let go of your legs, straighten your legs, lean back. We're using a lot of power, abdominal power, but thigh muscle power, but also psoas hip flexor power. Now, grab like Camilla your hams, the outside of your hamstrings, or across with your hands across both your legs to let go of the work that you are using from your quadriceps, from your abdominals, and from your psoas. So you're just simply hugging yourself. You're not needing much muscular power here. Slowly slide your fingers out, so you're just holding your hamstrings. And now slowly, keep your hands here for now. Slowly start to let go, but don't let fully go yet. When you start to let go, you can feel you need to use more and more thigh muscle power, abdominal muscle power. But before you get to the abdominal, you can feel a muscle group that sits behind your abdominals, deep belly. You can feel that when you let go, the psoas will start to engage, to hold the hip flexed. And at a split second later, when you let go fully more or less, the abdominals will take over and work and remove the possibility of feeling the psoas directly. So this exercise in particular here gives you the chance to feel the psoas when it's engaging. So it's engaging when you let go, and you can feel it before the abdominals takes over. There's a split second of that move where you can feel it. So play with that, move in and out, and there you can feel when psoas is working. That's a proof that it's there, for sure. Beautiful. And then lean back, lift your arms forward and up for the classical pose, Navasana. Stretch your legs, and you can now feel your abdominals, your quads, many other muscles. I can see it, and great, it's working hard, but now we know it's there. Beautiful. You can simply lower your arms to the mat, stretch your legs, and with your toes point toward the toes, rotating and lifting, giving a elongation of the psoas. A high body lengthens the psoas. Now, when you lower, don't just allow gravity or laziness to lower yourself. Find a neutral pose, lower yourself halfway down. Now find the psoas muscle. It sits behind the navel and below, and then lower, but binding with the psoas as you lower your sit bones to the mat. Finding the psoas all the way down. You're fully connected. Integrity is lifted, and lie back flat on your back. Let's bring your knees to your chest and just grab around and roll across your lower back. Lower back will be affected quite a bit when we work our psoas. Why? Because the psoas is glued to the entire lower back areas. And working the psoas, you will feel sore in your lower back. Soreness is great because next time you do it, you might not be that sore, so it means you're working your psoas. So that's the best news we can get here. Now lengthen let go of the grip and lengthen your legs. Just lie flat. Take a deep breath. Let go on your exhalation. Breathe to your belly and below. Breathe to the area of your psoas and let go. Create an awareness around the area of your psoas and allow the natural intelligence of your cells and your inner body to take all the teachings that you could use in this class, and then waken your body, rolling to your right side, pushing through for seated. I hope you had a informational filled class, that you got to understand, to feel, to touch psoas, so that it is not as abstract now as when we started. That's the point of this class, that we get to feel and to understand our psoas so we can use it in every single step that we take throughout our lives. Thanks for your patience and see you soon. Namaste.